Hi, welcome along to AFTV Transfer Daily, the show that takes a look at players that have been linked with a summer transfer move to Arsenal. First of all, before we get into the transfer stuff, I've got to talk about the game yesterday. I'm still wearing my Petr Cech t-shirt, but I must say, I was so disappointed in the performance yesterday. I think that's got to be one of the biggest anti-climaxes ever as an Arsenal fan. We all went into that game, so much expectation, so much hope. We can win the league, and all the old failings just came back again. And it was a very poor performance. And Petr Cech, unfortunately, on his debut for Arsenal, the guy that we thought was going to shore things up, was going to make us solid at the back. Unfortunately, he had a nightmare. The first goal, I mean, you can blame the defenders, but for me, if you come out, they say old adage as a keeper, if you come out, you've got to make it. He didn't make it. And the second goal, Cech should be saving that. And just poor performances all around. The amount of times we gave the ball away, the amount of times we were passing the ball and it was behind the player, or we just kicked it out. I mean, it was just so uncharacteristic of Arsenal. I suppose we have to put it down to the fact that it is the opening game. But as I said, we went into that game with so much optimism. We'd beaten Chelsea. We'd, beaten other teams pre-season. But I suppose those teams that we played pre-season, and Claude did say this, and I'm going to credit him that, those teams that we played pre-season, they were just playing football. They weren't like yesterday with West Ham, where they came, they had a strict game plan, stuck to it, literally, with so good defensively. And it was a very tough game. Even when an Arsenal player did get away from them, they just pulled them back down. You know what I mean? So they had a game plan. They stuck to it. We were very weak yesterday, very poor. And I'm really hoping that we can bounce back against Crystal Palace, which is going to be a tough game away from home. And I was just so disappointed in the team yesterday. And all that optimism that we had has just disappeared in one game. It is only one game. Let's not get carried away. As a guy said to me yesterday, we're only 1 point behind Chelsea, right? And 3 points off the top. So if you look at it that way, I suppose it's not the end of the world. But it's just it just deflated me. The way we played, beaten at home as well. We got to make the Emirates a fortress. We can't keep getting beaten at home. But listen, it's the first game of the season, off to a bad start. We've got off to bad starts before and then gone on a long run. So let's hope that that's what we're going to do this time. Now, one thing that yesterday does do is that it intensifies all the talk of transfers. Olivier Giroud yesterday did not have a good game. I'm a guy, I tried to back Giroud, but in those sort of tight games, when you get a couple of chances, you've got to put at least one of them away. He didn't. This is one of the things people blame him for a lot. And also, you look to the bench. All right, we brought on Alexis, who obviously didn't look fit. But you look to the bench, and there was nothing there striker-wise. And I know Welbeck's injured. We need an alternative striker to Olivier Giroud. And all the talk has started once again about Karim Benzema. We were told yesterday that Arsenal have got £45 million available to go out there and make this happen. What yesterday does is that intensifies that. If you watch any of the interviews after the game yesterday, all the fans were calling for Arsene Wenger to go out there and sign Benzema. Bring Benzema in. He could give us the same sort of lift as what Ozil gave us when we lost that first game to Aston Villa 2 seasons ago. I'm not saying to panic buy, but for me, this is not a panic buy. I'm not saying we need loads of players, but I think a signing like Benzema could be the sort of player that could turn Arsenal into real title contenders. The squad still needs something. It's a very good team. I'm sure that team's going to click into action, but it needs something of star quality in there. Giroud is very good. Benzema is world-class. And I think that Arsene Wenger really does need to go in and make this one happen. Great rumours yesterday flying around, by the way. The best one that I saw was the the rumor from the, and this got Twitter into an absolute frenzy. The place was going mental yesterday after Jenny Lizario, right? There she is, looking real good. She works for ESPN. It was reported she's an ESPN journalist, but she's more of an ESPN TV personality over there in Venezuela, where she comes from. And she's also a big Real Madrid fan, as you can see there. Right now, listen, she put out on her Twitter yesterday that she had it confirmed to her by some sources that Benzema was coming for a medical. And she said he's going for a medical yesterday. She then later on put out on our Twitter account that she didn't think, she still thinks it's going to happen, but maybe not the medical yesterday. But she's linking, you know, was saying that Benzema's coming, and it threw the place into a frenzy. Everybody saying, oh, he's coming, he's coming. This ESPN journalist says that Benzema's coming for a medical. Listen, I very much doubt Benzema came in for a medical yesterday, especially when he's nursing a thigh injury at the moment. But we do need to make this deal happen. And of course, the other interesting thing now that you see is that yesterday we were being told that by, who was this, Italian journalist, Tancredo Palermi of, well, I'm not even sure what publication, I'm not, some of these journalists that are propping up at the moment are very, very, you know, shaky. But he claims that Manchester City put a bid in for Benzema 3 days ago of 70 million euros. Now, if that's true, again, that means that Arsenal really do need to get moving if they're going to make this deal happen. I'm not sure if Man City, I mean, surely if Man City were bidding for Benzema, you know what Real Madrid are going to say to them? Well, all right, we'll give you Benzema, but we want Aguero coming the other way. And I just can't see that Man City will be letting their best player go the other way. So, but they've only got two strikers at the moment, remember. They've let go Djokovic, so they've only got Wilfred Boney and Aguero, so they could be on the lookout for another striker. If Arsenal are going to move and get this deal done, they need to move. They need to move. They need to be decisive. They need to be aggressive. Put the money on the table. See what Real Madrid are saying. If Madrid say no, it can't happen, then it can't happen. Then we either move on to another target, if that target's out there, or we just move on and get on with what we've got. But we definitely, I feel, need to bring in another striker to make us title contenders. Another player being linked with Arsenal yesterday is Mario Götze, yet again being linked. Götze, I've said it a few times on the show, he's not very happy at Bayern Munich. He's even made suggestions over the past week that Pep Guardiola hardly ever talks to him, which that can never be a healthy relationship. The guy wants to play football. He's, you know, the World Cup winner. He scored the winning goal in the World Cup. You can't get much higher than that. He's a very, very talented player. The only problem is we've just got so many midfielders. As you saw yesterday, we've got midfielders coming out of our ears. We need a striker. We need a striker is what we need. But Götze's available if we want him. Would be a lot of money, even though Bayern Munich said they wouldn't sell him. But I think if a big offer come in, they might do. As with Julian Draxler, another German talented youngster, midfielder again. I'll tell you what, yesterday, that was one of our problems. We didn't play with enough width. We had a bit of width on the right-hand side with Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain when he was doing those great runs at the start of the game. But there was no width over on the left-hand side. We just kept coming inside all the time. And a player like Draxler would offer width. And this is one of the reasons why a lot of times I say I like when Danny Welbeck's in the team, because if he's on that left-hand side, he offers width, pace and power, that way you can stretch out a team like West Ham, who played with a diamond shape yesterday. They brought everything back into the middle of the park. It was so narrow and it was easy for them to just crowd out everything. If you notice, we only got joy later on when Alexis came on and was out on that left-hand side and started stretching it a bit and providing a bit of width. Same with Theo on the right-hand side. So width is important. Could we bring in Julian Draxler? Or again, do we already have those sort of players? Do we need to bring in another one? And another player that's been linked with us today is Lucas Beliga. He's an Argentinian international defensive midfielder, very good player, this guy. Plays for Lazio. They recently made him the captain of the team, but he's admitted, even by being made the captain, he's still sort of saying that he's unsure about his future. Looks like he'd be open to a move. The favourites to land him are Manchester United. They've been linked with him, although I'm not sure why United would need him now. We're having Schweinsteiger, Carrick, and of course they've also got Schneiderlin, three defensive defensive midfielders there. But he's being linked heavily to Manchester United. But I don't know, we could do with another defensive midfielder. I've still got faith in Coquelin. He had a bad game yesterday. Let's have it right. He did not play very well yesterday, Coquelin. But that's one game, and I still have faith in Francis Coquelin. I still think he'll do a great job. But we need another defensive midfielder, in my view. Sometimes in certain games, away from home, etc., you may even have to play two defensive midfielders to shore things up. And Baliga is a top quality defensive midfielder. Why not move for him? We're going to have to wait and see what happens. But certainly yesterday, showing a lot of frailties yesterday, and it was a massive setback. Let's get into your comments and see what you guys had to say on the transfer market. This one's first from Francisco Vieira. He says, Robbie, please listen to me. I'm Brazilian, and I know how good Lucas Silva is. Now, Lucas Silva is the defensive midfielder who plays for Real Madrid, who we've been linked to. He said, if we get him, Coquelin will drop to the bench in a few weeks. Lucas is one of Brazilian's hot prospects. Cruzeiro, the former club of Lucas, has won everything here in Brazil because their defense was solid, and the only reason of it was because of Lucas, because their centre backs are totally useless. Now that Lucas has gone, Cruzeiro are struggling to get into the top 6 here in Brazil. If Arsenal get Lucas Silva, I'm sure that the defence will be very solid, and in a few years, he'll be one of the best in the world. Plus, I think him and Gabriel would be able to adapt quicker. So a big thumbs up there for Lucas Silva, who's been linked with. He's obviously signed for Real Madrid, but there are rumours that Madrid might have to let him go because they need to let go one of their foreign imports. Sanchez Alexis says, we really need Benzema. We have enough money to buy him. If we do that, we can win the title. Next one here. This one's from ex-ANMN fan Ali X. He says, I don't understand why everyone is saying Koch won't last the entire season. John Terry played every single minute of last season, and he's an old bag. I think Coquelin can do it. I think what people are saying with Coquelin even is like things like if he gets an injury. And we're injury prone at Arsenal. Look, Bellerin yesterday out. I mean, all right, it was only a slight injury, but Bellerin was out yesterday. He should be back next week. Wilshire's out. 2 injuries already. 2 injuries already. Welbeck's out. 3 injuries already in the Arsenal team. So we get a lot of injuries. So why not have backup? And Coquelin's such a combative player. He's going to commit fouls. Possibility he could get sent off in the game. Possibility he can accumulate 5 yellow cards pretty quickly and get banned. Needs good backup to Francis Coquelin. French Connection says, any updates on Joel Campbell? At the moment, Joel Campbell is still an Arsenal player. The deal to move him to Palermo has fallen through. So at the moment, Joel Campbell still an Arsenal player. And last one here, Gerald Kelly says, I think we can win the league with the squad we have, but adding Benzema would make us contenders for the Champions League. Well, you know what? The squad we got, they need to step up. After yesterday's performance, that has got to be an enormous kick up the arse to say, listen, maybe you guys, you know, you were believing your hype too much. Sort it out. Get onto that training field. Put everything in place. Don't be complacent. I think yesterday we thought, we're Arsenal. We always beat West Ham. They're coming. All right, they'll give us a good game, but we'll overcome them eventually because we're much better than them. And we've got a rude wake-up call. A rude wake-up call. I'm hoping that you know, the team have seen that and think to themselves, no, we need to step it up now next week against Crystal Palace, another team that we've got a good record against. Also, I'm hoping that the manager's looking on that and saying, listen, if we're going to win the league, which is what we all want to do, or we're going to challenge for the league, we need a little bit more. Let's hope Arsene Wenger goes out there and gets that for us.